Welcome to Red Eye. Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Shalhoub. Let's check in with TV's Andy Levy over at the Red Eye Tease Deck. Andy?
Thanks, Tom. Coming up on the big show, can Donald Trump predict the future? Reply hazy, try again. Plus, the NFL is making an educational training video to teach players how to behave appropriately off the field. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's to teach players how to celebrate appropriately on the field. Thank God, I thought for a second there the league had screwed up its priorities. And finally, an NBA GM says that players are better in road games thanks to Tinder. I guess penicillin shots help with jump shots. Back to you, Tom.
Thanks, Andy. Let's welcome our guests. We call her a top guest because the way she spins. Columnist and author of the book Government Gone Wild, Kristen Tate. His go-to pickup line is, who wants some sunny bunches of wild oats? Executive editor, Washington Free Beacon, Sunny Bunch. A Malice by any other name would be as spiteful. Observer columnist, Michael Malice. And the way he owns up to wrongdoing, they should call him Cumia Culpa. Sitting right next to me, the host of the Anthony Cumia Show on Compound Media, Anthony Cumia. Okay, let's start the show. President Trump did an interview with Time magazine for a cover story about, quote, the way he's handled truth and falsehood in his career. The president wasn't shy about his ability to predict the future. Here are some excerpts. I predicted a lot of things. Sweden. I make the statement, everyone goes crazy. The next day, they have a massive riot and death and problems. Huma and Anthony, you know what I tweeted about that whole deal? NATO, obsolete because it doesn't cover terrorism. Nobody knew that they weren't paying. I did. I figured it. Brexit, I was totally right about that. Brussels, I said. Brussels is not Brussels. I mean many other things. The Bachelor, I predicted Nick would give the final rose to Vanessa.
Nailed it.
Okay, we made up that last one, but all the others are real.
Yeah.
But Trump was only getting started. The other one, election. I said we are going to win. We won, and many other things. I'm a very instinctual person, but my instinct turns out to be right. I predicted Brexit. Anything else? Brexit. I predicted Brexit. You remember that. The day before the event, I said, no, Brexit is going to happen, and everybody laughed. And Brexit happened. Later, he noted, Brexit. Wait a minute, I predicted Brexit. And finally, I got attacked on Brexit. I was saying Brexit was going to pass, and everybody was laughing. And I turned out to be right on that. Trump ended the interview by telling the reporter, I can't be doing so badly because I'm president and you're not. You know? Say hello to everybody, okay? That's the best sign-off there is, isn't it, Anthony?
He's fantastic. First of all, he's right. Like it's a little. When you read those, I was taken back to a documentary years ago about Nostradamus and how, you know, let's look at Trump's 20th quatrain.
Yes.
And it's kind of like jumbled up, and you have to interpret it yourself because he's not the most eloquent guy.
Yeah, well, he does. He rambles.
Yes, he rambles.
Yeah.
But like everything he did say came to fruition, and it, much to a lot of people's chagrin. And I honestly think, based on what's happening, that the whole wiretap thing, something's coming out of that too.
You know what the amazing thing about it, though, is that I agree with you. I think that, and he knows. He with those tweets, he slightly exaggerates so that he can, and then he gets it in the press for days, people attacking him, and then slowly things come out, and then he's.
The way he's done it since he said, I want to be president, and it's worked every time. God bless him.
It's
he's
amazing.
A genius.
Michael, the thing he didn't say was that he said, well, the election, and no one predicted I was going to win. But he didn't mention that he changed the Republican Party. He reversed decades of policy of the Republican Party. He really was such a transformation, and people were laughing the whole time.
And in the last 48 hours, something else he said came true when he said all these anti-Semitic bomb threats on Jewish centers across the country were false flags, and the corporate media lost their minds. What a lunatic. We all know he's literally Hitler, and the guy was just arrested after the other guy was arrested, who was a deranged journalist, but I repeat myself.
Yes. The other guy, what's interesting, though, the first guy, we didn't really hear much about him, did we?
Of course not, because there's never
we saw it on Compound Media.
There's never any corrections in the press. Here's the one prediction he's made that hasn't come true yet, but will. When he told Hillary Clinton that debate, yeah, you'd be in jail. Watch. She's going down, I'm telling you.
I mean, but he's not even pushing that.
Because you got to lay the groundwork behind the scenes.
Uh-huh. Okay, we'll see.
I'm
Maybe.
telling you. I'm calling it here.
Sonny, look, it's true. These articles, I mean, this reporter got 20 minutes with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was gracious enough to answer all his questions. And then you see the spread in Time magazine. There's a picture of a lie detector. I mean, it's really a piece of propaganda, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is definitely. Well, I mean, look, the simple fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has the power of sight beyond sight. He is, in fact, Lion-O from the Thundercats. That's where I'm going with this. He has the sort of omens. He can tell the future. So I would look out Hillary Clinton if I were,
It's true.
if I were her.
He's Lion-O, and he is the guy with the...
He's got the mane of hair.
He
You know,
does.
he's got the shock of orange, yellow
Lion-O
hair.
didn't have the power. The sword had the power.
Well,
That's why Mumra wanted the sword.
Maybe he controls the sword. I don't know. I'm not a Thundercats expert who
You know what?
has
You're
studied
kinda-
it in
you're kinda coming
library.
close to a
Okay,
Thundercats expert.
Not at all. He's doing the opposite.
I have
He's
seen
a
it.
novice. I've got the box sets.
What's
Watch him.
Thundercats?
I have seen at least 4 episodes of
God, listen
Thundercats.
to Chitara over here.
I want to go back further, like to Johnny Carson as Karnak, and he could be Trump-nack, and maybe Chris
should.
Christie should just go, oh, yes, you are a soothsayer, sir.
He should have the hat and blow on the
Yes.
envelope. You think that Lion-O is Trump, but I think he always reminded me of somebody else. I can't think of who it is. Yeah, that's it.
That synthol. Oh, it's terrible.
He is jacked.
You don't know who either of
that's
those
oil.
people are, do you?
My God.
Those props get heavy, I guess.
Kristen, let's talk about Trump, though.
Yes.
Look, he kind of does tell the future, does he not?
He's always right, Tom. He's always right. And say what you will about Trump, you know, Time magazine sure as hell didn't predict Brexit, and none of these media outlets predicted that Trump would win. I mean, you had MSNBC and all those stooges literally laughing out loud at the notion that Trump could even win the White House.
Yep.
But you know, Time magazine's just going the way of Newsweek. I don't think anyone reads that. I don't know anyone who reads Time magazine. They're just becoming like predictable liberal hogwash, and you know, it's pretty pathetic. The best they could do right now to try to take Trump down is like ridicule him for pointing out things that he predicted that they missed.
Yeah.
And like he's right about everything, even the wiretapping thing now. It turns out he's probably right about that. But I read this conspiracy theory that's really big on like 4chan and Reddit.
Yeah. Oh,
boy.
I want to hear it.
Apparently,
Flat
Trump
Earth.
has a time
Pizzagate.
machine. And that's how he knows that all of this, that's how he can predict all this stuff.
Right.
And these people who believe this think that he has come, you know, to 2016 to save us from the impending nuclear war with ISIS. And I'm starting to think they're onto something.
And that's why the Sweden attack was off by a day, because when you're traveling through time, it's hard to get the day
Yeah,
exactly
see,
right.
you know about this,
Of course,
right? This
I'm
is a
on-
big
Donald,
thing on
Donald, we
4chan.
have to go back.
It's
the Libyans.
He wouldn't do it himself. You know, Trump he's a germaphobe. I don't think he'd go back in time because they don't have penicillin or something, you know?
Right.
But he would have someone else do it for him.
Gray's Sports Almanac. That's how I made my fortune.
But Michael, you make a good point. It was another thing that Trump mentioned. What was the one thing you just said there? His,
With the false flags and Hillary going to jail.
oh no, it was Sweden.
Yeah.
You know, he said the thing about Sweden, and everyone laughed. Oh, ha, ha. Oh, he saw it on a Fox News show. But of course, then the news stories came out, and people knew what he was talking
And
about.
against him, who could have predicted there'd be an attack in Britain from a radical Islamic terrorist? No one could have seen that coming.
Moving on, the NFL is addressing perhaps the biggest problem facing the sport: excessive touchdown celebrations. On Wednesday, NFL VP and former Reverend from Footloose, Troy Vincent, tweeted, "We're developing an educational training video for players to show clear examples of appropriate and inappropriate celebrations. I guess this is why people say NFL stands for no place for fun." That's what they say, right? Does that even match up? I don't know.
DNPF, yeah.
So are touchdown dances really that big of a problem?
Manning rolls right. He's got Brown at the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Dallas.
The ideal of sportsmanship began to take a back seat to excessive celebration.
Good clip, right?
That's funny.
You know why we show that? Because the NFL, we can't show any of their clips.
Oh, that's right.
We can't show the clips of the NFL. They
you
jealously
can't get
guard them.
express written permission? What kind of guy?
Come on.
You just send a letter.
Anthony, is this the thing they should be worrying about?
Of course not. we all know that an inordinate, I think, amount of NFL players are involved in all kinds of hijinks and shenanigans off the field.
That's what they call
will
it,
get
right?
them in Dutch.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a little more important. Maybe the fact that their brains are bouncing off their skulls like a handball and giving them all types of problems later in life is an issue that should be looked at closer. What is wrong with we all love watching that. Every time it happens, we don't go, oh, they're ruining the game. Everyone goes, that's hilarious. It's a celebration. Why not? It's a game.
Everyone does love, or does everyone love it? Or what do you
we
do?
love it.
What happens, Michael, when they're doing some kind of twerking in the end zone and kids are watching? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, what they should really be celebrating touchdowns is giving them a free CAT scan so that these people aren't killing themselves and beating their wives later because of all the brain damage they're suffering.
Oh, wow.
I just went dark.
You did.
Took
it
But
to
it's
the
true, but this
to
is
the end
actually a real
zone.
problem. And I don't know anything about football except the fact that they all kill themselves.
Well, it's true, Sonny. I mean, they're not exactly getting concussions doing those dances in the end zone, are they?
Well, what about the ones where they're doing the flips and then they land on their head? You
Right.
can get a concussion on that.
You could.
You got to watch the videotape to show no flipping.
That's right. They need a little guidance.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I mean, look, I think it should be left up to the coaches, Sonny. Each team, I liked in the old days when Vince Lombardi, he used to find his players, right? So why don't you leave it up to each team? If I were a coach, I would say no celebrations. If you do anything besides put that ball down on the grass, $100,000.
Yeah, I blame the unions because it's the unions who have said you can't just fine people for no reason and having fun. Unions are the problem.
Oh, really?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Look at your eyes all sparkle. Ooh, tell me more. This
Can I
is
blame
that-
unions for something?
I don't have a copy of the CBA in front of me. I would assume that's the case.
Yes. Kristen, is this Obama's fault?
Yes. Thanks, Obama. No, but like Michael, I don't really like football that much. I have a very short attention span, so I just cannot watch it. The only time I like to watch it is when they twerk and when they do their little jigs on the field. So
Yeah.
what's the big deal? Let them do it. But, the NFL has become totally liberal. Everyone knows it. I mean, they let that guy, Kaepernick, whatever his name is,
Yeah.
they let him sit for the national anthem, yet they won't let the Dallas Cowboys wear a sticker on their helmet to honor cops.
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL is just, everyone knows it's just a big liberal organization now.
Is that true? They wouldn't let them wear a sticker?
They wouldn't let them wear a sticker to honor cops after the horrific shooting in Dallas.
They are liberal. I knew you were here for a reason, Kristen.
National football
Next story.
liberals.
Another day, another story about political correctness in school. Now, one high school in Illinois is apparently making sure that not only does everyone get a trophy, but everyone gets a prom date too. Administrators have ditched romance and replaced freedom of choice with a lottery system. Let's see who this poor sap gets paired with.
You will have the honor of escorting Haley Lenz.
Oh,
man.
that young man seems happy. Turns out the prom lottery is a tradition at Aquin High dating back to 1926. Here's how it works. The boys have the names of the girls drawn randomly in the library while the girls wait for them in the gym. Then the boys have to approach the girls and perform a skit for them, at which time the girls are obliged to accept. So it's not really politically correct after all. Not only am I for this, I think more schools should do the same thing. It looks like good old-fashioned fun. And most of the students at the school seem to enjoy the ritual.
I don't really find it very intimidating because I feel like I've known most of these people for basically my whole time going to school here. So I'm pretty comfortable with basically everyone in the school. So it's not very intimidating to me. I think it's just kind of a natural thing.
Look, I think this is fantastic. Sonny, this is what we need now. These proms are getting out of control. Kids are drinking and whatnot. This school looks like a bunch of wholesome kids. I love it.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
What?
And it makes me sad for all of them. That being said, I was never exactly a prom guy. I was more of a homecoming guy. Do they do the same thing for homecoming? Is my question.
Were you the homecoming accountant, Sonny?
I was the homecoming. Well, that's for the football. I was the team manager. I would bring out everybody's suits and I put them on, and then they would go with it.
Michael, I think you guys are a little cynical. I think this is great. This is great Americana. Everyone goes to the prom. They all like each other. It's it's a community thing.
Community is what I escaped from Soviet Russia. Okay, I don't like this. Look, playing the lottery, the odds are very low you're going to get someone who looks like me or Kristen. You're going to end up with a Rosie O'Donnell, a Chris Christie, or God forbid, a John DeVore. Okay, so this is just absolutely reprehensible. And the idea that I got to put on a sketch for my prom date, get the hell out of here. If you want some good old-fashioned fun, that happens after the prom.
Wait a minute. This is Anthony.
Yeah.
You know what it used to be like.
That's what I was going to get at, Tom. I don't like this at all because we had to suffer through something called rejection. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Getting a no, or just even trying to work up the nerve, not being able to, not asking, and then regretting it that you never asked. Like, this is stuff that you need to get through life. Valentine's Day was the same thing. They made a thing where everyone has to get a Valentine for everyone else in the class now.
Yeah.
And it used to be, someone would go home without any Valentines.
Yes.
And it turned into probably a serial killer, right? Is that what happened?
No, maybe a radio host.
Maybe a
Anthony.
radio host. But then other people would get stacks of it, and that's called life. You got to look at it and accept it and deal with it.
You know
it's
what?
kind of silly. Although for them, it's that old tradition thing, so it's fine. But if other schools try to adopt this, it's insanity.
Well, look, I'm going back and forth, Kristen, because originally when I saw this, I said, oh no, a bunch of snowflakes.
Yeah.
Then I saw that it was an old tradition, and the kids seemed like they were having a heck of a time. And now Anthony convinced me this way, but now I'm back the other way. What do you think?
When I first read this, I had the same reaction. I was like, ew, this is so dumb. Why would they do this? Then I read that it had been going on for 100 years, and I thought, this is adorable. This is so great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this cute tradition would never be able to be replicated in any schools today because the second you pair up a transgender kid with someone of the, the other gender that they don't want, you get lawsuits coming to you. When I went to prom, I went with my best friend who happened to be a gay guy, and he hadn't come out at the time, so we just went as friendly dates, but this poses the question, like, what would you do in this lottery system for gay guys? So, it's just very complicated because in today's America, you can't just pair girls with boys. You got to take into account gay people, bisexuals, transgender, transvestite, all of the different classifications. Dating is just very complicated for high schoolers.
I'm still trying to get over the waste of her going to prom with a gay guy.
Wait a minute.
Oh my God.
Isn't that the way it happened, though?
Oh my God! Keep the Ferrari in the garage.
Trust me, the makeup ladies here are like wonderful. Without this makeup, I am a miserable monster. So that's what the high school kids got.
I guess I'm the only pretty one on the panel. Story of my life.
All right, coming up. The producer of Batman v Superman names the worst thing in the movie industry. Shockingly, it's not Batman v Superman. And my first book, Mean Dads for a Better America. It's available for pre-order at booksellers everywhere. Go to TomShalou.com for info. Is Rotten Tomatoes ruining the movie business? One Hollywood big shot thinks so. Brett Ratner, the director of art house films like Rush Hour, Rush Hour 2, and Rush Hour 3, says reducing hundreds of reviews into an aggregate score doesn't do films justice. He explains, when I was growing up, film criticism was a real art, and there was an intellect that went into that you would read Pauline Kael's reviews. Now it's about a number. Now it's about, what's your Rotten Tomatoes score? Ratner's company co-financed Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and he claims that the movie's low score, 27%, put a cloud over it, even though it ended up making a ton of money. He says, in Middle America, it's a low Rotten Tomatoes score, so I'm not going to see it because it must suck. What's sad is film criticism has disappeared. So how is Rotten Tomatoes score calculated? It's based on hundreds of reviews from critics at the New York Times to less mainstream ones. Sonny, I wanted to do this because of you. I knew you'd have an opinion about this. Is Rotten Tomatoes ruining the appreciation of cinema?
Rotten Tomatoes, first off, couldn't possibly be the worst thing that's happening to the Hollywood industry because the Hollywood industry continues to turn out all sorts of Brett Ratner movies. I mean, like, frankly, like if Rotten Tomatoes was killing cinema, Brett Ratner would be a dead person already. Second of all, the idea that Rotten Tomatoes is bad for movies because people in middle America are like, oh my God, this is 27% fresh.
Yeah.
No way I'm going to see Chips tomorrow. They're saying, I'm going to go see Chips because Eric Estrada's in it. And finally, you know, the real problem here, and if I could be serious for one moment as a film critic who was on Rotten Tomatoes and is extremely important, the real problem with Rotten Tomatoes is that it does aggregate and it reduces the problem it reduces the impact of individual film criticism. He's right.
You want to get more points than the average Joe.
He's right insofar as it's bad for the individual film critic. The fact that that is bad for the individual film critic has nothing to do with Brett Ratner because they all hate him anyway. So,
oh, that's it.
You know?
Anthony, do you remember the old days when the average American truck driving Joe would curl up with Pauline Kael reviews from the New York Times?
No, I don't. I do recall a gentleman by the name of Rex Reed, though, that used to pen movie reviews, and I never understood what the hell he was talking about. I like the idea that some regular people are reviewing these movies. You don't want a crappy review? Don't make a crappy movie. That's pretty much it. I think now we're getting a lot more people varied tastes that are reviewing movies. I look at Rotten Tomatoes, but I'll also, you know, kind of take it with, I'll add in my own little, if I want to see it or not, if I think it's a good idea for a movie. But I like it. I like Rotten Tomatoes. And sometimes they're hilariously funny when they're really ripping a movie apart.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, I like looking at the critic score versus the people score, and I'm for the people. I go for the people. What about you?
Well, I'm an elitist, so I'm never for the people. However, I'm shocked that I'm in a panel with 3 right-wing lunatics, and no one has taken the opportunity to bash Pauline Kael. This Pauline Kael, who he talks about, wrote for The New Yorker. She had that famous quote about, I can't believe Nixon won. I don't know anyone who voted for him.
Right, you're right.
It was a little misattributed. She actually something much worse, which is when I go to the movie theater, I know they're around me, but I don't want their presence to be felt. So this is exactly what needs to be destroyed in America. This whole idea that the elites are going to tell you, the false elites are going to tell you what movies are worth watching. And the idea that Pauline Kael would like Batman versus Superman is demented on its face.
Yeah, I think Ratner is a little mixed up thinking that, I mean, Pauline Kael wouldn't like his movies, would she?
Of course not.
Of course not. Kristen, do you go to the movies?
I do. And I think that, I mean, look at what these Hollywood moonbats do. They just make all of these awards for themselves based off political correctness, and then they give the awards to the most politically correct movies. I don't trust these Hollywood elites to tell me which movies I should watch because all they care about is political correctness. And that's why I like Rotten Tomatoes, because it has the critics' reviews, the average critics' reviews, and then it has the average normal person reviews. And having those numbers is very helpful because, you know, if you want to go to the movie theater and, you know, think really hard and think about metaphors and pay attention to the cinematography,
Such a pain.
then you pick the movie with the highest critic review. But if you want an awesome movie that you can relax and watch popcorn with, then you look at the review that has the highest average person rating. And, you know, it just depends what mood you're in. Like, are you in a Schindler's List mood or like a Pink
Schindler's List
Flamingos
mood? What does that mean? Jesus, yikes. Should I leave?
When I'm in a Schindler's List
Where are the exits? If
I
there's
don't
a
go to
Schindler's
the
List
movies.
moment, I'm not about it.
All right, coming up, Halftime with TV's Andy Levy. And a brand new episode of the Red Eye Podcast is available now. Subscribe on iTunes and on FoxNewsRadio.com. Welcome back. Time to find out what we got wrong, what we missed from TV's Andy Levy and the Red Eye News Deck. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Tom, happy Friday.
Yeah. Big time.
Yep. Trump predicts the future. Kumia, help me out on this. Trump's thing with Time Magazine where he said, I'm president and you're not. I feel like he stole that from Chevy Chase.
Yeah, that was from SNL when he did the Weekend Update. Yeah. Unless he went back in time and gave that to Chevy. You never know. It's a paradox.
I'm going to get to the time machine in a little bit. Tom, you said the way Trump does it is he tweets and he slightly exaggerates, and then later things slowly come out that prove him right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what happens is Trump tweets stuff that's not true, and then something comes out that's not even remotely what he said, and then he and his supporters pretend that's what he was talking about the whole time.
I mean, it works for me.
Yeah.
Potato.
Brilliant.
Yeah. By the way, so theweek.com, they excerpted the Time magazine interview, and they called it 10 times Trump bragged about his ability to predict the future in his Time interview. So I was reading it, and I noticed the site's list of speed reads over on the left-hand side of the page. Can we put that up? I thought that was kind of funny. See, because he didn't predict the vote wasn't going to happen.
I don't get it.
All right. Another thing Trump somehow failed to predict, that before signing up to be his campaign manager, Paul Manafort had secretly worked to benefit Vladimir Putin. This prediction power, it's just not working that well. Kristen, do you know how Trump got his time machine?
Yeah, he got it in the future, Andy.
He didn't get it in the future. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, after Nikola Tesla's death, the FBI seized his belongings. The National Defense Research Committee called in an MIT professor to look at his notes. That MIT professor was John Trump. John Trump then claimed that there was nothing of interest in his notes, but he was completely lying, and there were, in fact, blueprints for a time machine, which he left to his beloved nephew, Donald.
Jeez, Andy, take off your tinfoil hat.
The NFL continues to drain joy by putting out a video teaching players how to celebrate. Cumia, you said we all love watching the celebrations. Yeah, I completely agree. I miss Ocho Cinco. I think he was the best.
Ocho Cinco. I like anything that happens on the field that isn't the game.
That's not scripted.
Like anything, a streaker back in the old days, somebody just running on the field and getting tackled by security. We all love that.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff.
No, I totally agree. Sonny, although you brought up the guys who do the flip into the end zone and how they could land on their heads or necks. Yeah, if I were a coach, that's on the coaches to me. I would not let my players do that.
Well, I mean, they're, hard to control once they're on the field. They got filled with emotion. Who was the Redskins quarterback who headbutted the wall? Was that Gus Frerotte?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah, so, it's impossible to control these people. They're crazy.
Yeah, I don't believe that's true. I believe a good coach can control his or her players.
Oof. PC nonsense.
Also, Sonny, I don't think you're right about this being the union's fault.
Well, I mean, I was just spitballing.
Yeah, I know.
Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I just said it on TV.
knows.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. These days, you're not wrong. High school assigns prom dates by lottery. Malice, cheap shot at John DeVore.
Well, that's what he's worth.
I mean,
Sorry, buddy. You know I love you, and I'm in love with you.
you did kind of pull his pigtails on the playground, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a lot of lice.
Cumia, you said we had to suffer through something called rejection.
Yes.
Yeah, but then instead of the prom, we, I mean you, just went to the beach and got drunk, didn't we? I mean you.
Are you talking about this past weekend?
No, I meant like on prom night.
Yes, I hung out with the rest of my friends who also couldn't get dates, and we hung out and badmouthed all the pretty girls.
Exactly. Yes. By the way, I enjoyed how the conservatives here, Tom and Kristen, both initially thought this was awful until they learned it was something old.
Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't like it, Tom, and here's why. Why is it the guys who always pick the names? This, to me, this reeks of patriarchy, and as a 10th wave feminist, I find it abhorrent.
Well, first of all, Andy, 10th wave?
Yep.
I thought you were 9th wave.
I went to a seminar last week.
Okay. Well, it's not. It's they pick them out of a hat. It's random, so it's a genderless thing that.
But it's always the men picking the women. Come on, Tom.
Like cattle.
It's lady
Come
fate,
on, Tom.
Andy.
It's 2012. We shouldn't be doing this anymore, or something. I don't know.
2012. Current year.
Brett Ratner says Rotten Tomatoes is killing the movie industry. Sonny, I agree with you that you could argue it's Brett Ratner who's killing the movie industry. This is a guy whose X-Men movie was so bad that a later movie in the franchise had to make it so that they went back in time and changed history, so his movie never happened.
Not only that, they wiped out all of the other X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Brett Ratner's movie was so bad, they destroyed all of the other X-Men movies, which were only half as bad.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Cumia, you said if you don't want a crappy review, don't make a crappy movie. Here, to me, is the worst thing Ratner said. Right after he complained about Batman versus Superman's low score, he said, quote, "People don't realize what goes into making a movie like that. Who cares?
We don't want to think about what goes into making
Yeah.
it. We want to sit there and be entertained. I don't care how it's made.
Oh, it took a lot went into making a bad movie? I guess it's not bad then?
That makes it even worse. You worked that hard
That's what I'm
on
saying.
this.
How about this? If someone gives you $250 million to make a movie, maybe make a good movie?
I don't know.
Call me crazy.
Crazy.
Take off the tinfoil hat.
I know. By the way, personally, I prefer Metacritic to Rotten Tomatoes.
Do they have movies?
Metacritic?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought that was TV and Rotten Tomatoes was movies. I don't know why.
No, Metacritic is movies, TVs, video games, all kinds of crazy things. Also, they're fans of Red Eye.
Metacritic is?
Yes.
Ah. Going on after the show.
My new fave.
I'm done.
Thank you, Andy. Coming up. A New York woman finds an interesting place to park her car. The aftermath is next. Last week, a woman had a little driving mishap in New York City. Okay, she rammed her Kia SUV into a gas station convenience store. It appears nobody was badly hurt, but the accident drew some looky-loos. Looky-loos, right?
That's what they call it.
Yeah, and she didn't appreciate their curiosity.
Holy
Yeah, take pictures just out masses. Y'all not even a part of this.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what?
Oh, I like that finger too. He's going. He's going.
It was an accident, you dumbasses. How about you get a car yourself? You reporting me for what reason, sir?
She almost killed people.
She didn't kill nobody. It was an accident. How about this? I come and kick your phone out your head right now, dude. You really wanted me? You really want me to?
you supposed
Yo,
to do
how
it.
about this? How about you run?
Man. He's right.
You want to run? Come at me. Come at me.
Oh my God.
Come at me. What are you doing? Dude,
Well, they just.
your mother should be happy you hoe. I'll get my
You're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. This is going to all the on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram.
Instagram, and he forgot to mention Red Eye too. That's where it's going to be, on Red Eye. Anthony,
Oh, that's fantastic.
how come every one of these videos there's a Golden Arches in the background somewhere? It's always near a McDonald's.
Yeah, it's always near a place that's not serving the healthiest of food.
But
She looked a little rotund, actually.
yeah, she was coming after. No,
Yeah.
Can you imagine having someone coming after you in the street just for photographing the man?
I couldn't imagine something like that happening, and especially then tweeting about it and perhaps getting fired. Yeah, that's a scary situation. They handled it well. The guy was actually running away and keeping her on camera. He's like a war correspondent.
Yeah.
And it was a double-pronged attack because another guy started that, and she went right after him. I don't know. Why was she so angry at them? She made a mistake, you know.
She crashed the car.
She crashed the car.
But her thing was, Kristen, she said nobody was killed, so you're not supposed to film it. Is that the rules?
I guess. I don't know. The guy filming this is legit my hero. Like, I loved it. And, watching this was like a Benny Hill skit. I was just waiting for, like, the saxophone in the background. It was just, like, I loved it. I watched it, like, 10 times. But I think the rest of the world is just looking at America right now, and they're horrified. Like, they see reality TV, big portions of food, Donald Trump as president, and now this. They think this just encapsulates everything that's America. It horrifies them.
You haven't lost it like
but
this?
I love it.
Have you ever lost it in the street like that?
Not in the streets.
Okay, but it does happen. Michael.
Yeah.
You kind of were, you're wrinkling your brow
I
when
don't
she
understand
said Benny Hill.
Yeah, how does she know who Benny Hill is but doesn't know the Thundercats? Like, I don't understand that time
I don't know why.
situation there.
I'm
I have
guessing
a weird
very good
history on
question.
YouTube.
I'm guessing your
My
is your
browsing
dad
history.
a big Benny Hill
He
fan?
is, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
You can tell.
There it is.
She watched
But
it with her dad.
I disagree with you on one thing. There's a lot of Russian footage of my mother country, and people acting much worse than this on the regular.
yeah.
It's all over World Star. It's all over Live Leak. They probably censor on YouTube.
That's
YouTube.
true, yeah.
And we are very known to get very loud, very violent, and very aggressive.
Very violent, yes. And the camera work is much better in Russia. They all have those GoPros on their car.
Right.
So it's all very steady.
Right.
Yeah.
The only trick is that the R's are backward.
If this was Russia, we would have video of her crashing into
Yes,
the gas
correct.
station, and that would be
Yeah.
100.
And she would have
and then
uploaded it.
we could have stitched it all together like a fan cut.
Yeah. Although, Sonny, is it-
accident, you stupid. Like, yeah, it would have been great.
Grandma?
Yes. And they never get, like, please, turn the camera,
Yeah,
turn the
it's
phone.
I gotta excuse him at this point though, because
Portrait
it's
mode.
harder. It's harder to keep it steady when it's.
And his commentary made it
Perhaps.
awesome. Like he was goading her on.
Yeah, you're in
Children.
trouble.
Acting like children.
Is it, is that something? Do you film things when there's? I never do that. I can't take out my camera because I don't want to look like one of these gawkers.
No, I run away from any sort of conflict in the street. I see people yelling at each other, and I'm like, nope, going that way, because I'm a coward.
Yeah.
That's
No, that's not it.
I always yell at them, hit him, in the crowd.
Well, yeah. Well, you probably. Are you a filmer?
No, but I'm a watcher.
I figure I'll just see it on YouTube at some point because there's 10 other people.
Yeah, everyone's
What am I gonna
filming it.
get that angle that no one got?
Yeah.
Imagine the Kennedy footage they'd have now.
Oh my God.
Zapruder would be like the worst clip available. Everybody else would have these great clips and commentary.
Yeah.
But we would have gotten
auto-tuned.
Ted Cruz's dad.
You see his head come apart.
It's like we're all riffing here. It's amazing. Coming up, do easy lays lead to easy layups? Tinder and the NBA are next. Professional athletes used to struggle to meet women. No more. Thanks to Tinder. Yes, many players are using the hookup app on the road. Just the ones with wives and girlfriends, of course. And at least one NBA general manager says it has helped teams play better away from home. Quote, no need to go to the clubs all night anymore, the GM tells ESPN magazine. And a former player agrees. It's absolutely true that you get at least 2 more hours of sleep getting laid on the road versus 15 years ago. No schmoozing, no going out to the club, no having to get something to eat after the club, but before the hotel. Wow, I didn't know that was the system. So, is there any evidence Tinder is helping? ESPN notes that 30 years ago, road teams only won 32% of the time. This season, they're winning at a 42% clip. That's it.
Wow.
It's proved.
Proof positive.
Michael, do you buy this?
Well, I'm going to get on Tinder right after this show. But no, this is also going to help them with any kind of false accusations of assault. And they're going to also be drinking less. If they're just, on Tinder, you're like, come to my hotel room, and then you take care of business, and you don't have to get inebriated, so you don't get hungover, so you're going to play better as well.
Unbelievable. I hadn't thought about this, but when he mentioned the thing about the club, I think Tinder might be changing the economics of nightlife. I mean, these clubs, how can they survive if you don't have to go to them anymore?
That is true, but I'm thinking the other way around. Like, you would just utilize the time that you would spend in the club trying to get the girl with the girl. And if you're at your hotel, you all of a sudden turn into a saint? You're hitting the mini bar. You're still drinking.
Okay.
And now you're just drinking in the room with the girl.
Well, the thing is, though, I think in the old days, they did that too. Right. They always brought him back to the room. They always did the mini.
It always ends up being too long.
Yeah, it was just,
Yeah. All right, maybe technology is helping.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tinder, I've never even tried to use it.
Well, you like the old-fashioned one.
I like the old-fashioned, get out there. Get in face to face. Let's have a chit chat.
Got to show them your car. You got to show them the goods, right?
I got to do a lot of work here, Tom. I got to pull out a credit card and look what I got.
Sonny, you can't argue with the numbers. That's a huge increase. I don't remember what it was, but it was big.
I'm sorry, correlation and causation. We need to get 538 on this. We need to get them to break down, how far they're traveling. Who is? I assume science can prove this.
Yeah.
And this is just a rambling of a GM who is old and doesn't understand things like hookup apps, like me, an expert in such youthful endeavors.
Yeah. Do you know Tinder? Is it on your phone?
God, no.
Oh, yeah. look, it may be right. Sonny says it could be different things. It may not be the app. Might be the they didn't used to have the heavenly bed in the hotels. Now they do.
No, it's the app. No one goes to bars anymore. No one goes to clubs anymore. We do everything online. We shop online. We stalk people online, and now we date people online, and we're all better for it. And now NBA players can cheat on their wives more easily.
Amazing. Well, that's all the time we have. Special thanks to my entire cast. And I think the show's over. I'm Tom Schuler. Good night.